Okay, so now we're back on the Wind of Change dev server, the first dev server here. We're going to be taking a look at the Swedish helicopters. So as you can see from the tech tree, it's just 5 helicopters with a straight line progression, nice and simple. The first one is the HKP-3C. This is pretty obviously just a version of the Huey. We've got one loadout with some Bantam missiles. So let's give this a shot and see how this guy flies. Seems to fly pretty much just like a standard Huey so far. I'm noticing on the landing skids there's some extra reinforcement. That's kind of interesting. Alright, let's check out these missiles. Very slow. My goodness, these are slow missiles. Look at this. Wow. Alright, let's try from 2 kilometers. Just waiting for that guy to get there. Okay, well it did finally get there, but that is an extremely slow missile. And we don't have any guns or anything. And in terms of speed and configuration, this is a pretty basic, just combat version of the Huey. It looks like it's one of the first gen Hueys with only one engine. And we can fire these missiles off from the external view, but I have no idea if that's even going to hit anything. Nope. Yeah, those Bantam missiles are extremely slow. So it will be interesting to take a look and see how these work once the patch is live. I'm going to let this missile do its thing and guide its way in before we check out the next helicopter. Very slow. So this is the entry-level helicopter for Sweden, and let's take a look at the next one. Okay, next up is the HKP-2. This is, from looking at it, it looks like it's a Swedish version of the Alouette 2, maybe? Maybe the Alouette 1 helicopter? So, for loadouts, we've got one selection of loadouts, which is the RB-52. So, let's take this into a flight and see what we get with it. And, you know, again, no guns or anything on this helicopter. It's warning me about my keybinds, but nothing to worry about. No guns or anything on this helicopter. So far, maneuverability, I mean, seems decent. Spins around pretty good, and it should. This is a nice, small, light helicopter. Pretty good traverse. Cyclic is good and responsive. That's what we like to see. Alright. Yeah, these are much faster than the Bantam missiles on the first helicopter there. Still not fast, but faster. And you know, with the missiles on helicopters like this, you know, the speed of the weapon getting into the target, it can actually be a pretty important factor. In the general usefulness of the weapon. Okay, yeah, we can do mid-course corrections there. These are, just like with the Bantam, these are semi-active command line of sight missiles. So, and you get 4 of them, so it's a pretty light weapon load, but, you know, it's a pretty small helicopter. So, alright, we'll check out the next one. Okay, next is the HKP-9A. This is, I think this is the German BO-105 from the looks of it. And checking out the weapon load, we've got some RB-558 missiles, which are just some helicopter tow missiles, and we can do a gun pod. So, without the additional gun pod, I don't think this has any guns. So we're going to try it out, and we're going to take the gun pod just to see how that works. Alright, let's do it. Traverse is relatively decent. It's a little bit heavier than the last one, but it's okay. Collective seems good. Ooh, that is a low cyclic rate on that gun, and it's coming out of the wrong side of the helicopter. Because this is the dev server. Alright, let's see if our missiles come out of the wrong side. Well, okay, so first, these tow missiles are much quicker. That is good to see. So, let's, Oh. Okay, so those at least come out of the correct side of the helicopter. Let's get ourselves a target and see what we can get. Very small tracking window with these tow missiles on this guy. Look at that. By tracking window, if you look at the bottom part of the interface, there's that small green, like, vertical box inside the larger horizontal box. That's your targeting window, like where the missile can actually hit. And it is a very narrow field of fire, but it's not especially atypical for a helicopter like this with tow missiles. Maneuverability seems relatively good. It's got that sensor bar up the top, so it's making me think we might... I'm not getting any kind of thermals or anything, but it makes me think that eventually there might be thermals added on this guy. Again, this is still early dev server. Ooh, very limited ammo on that gun pod. Not sure how useful that's going to be. I suspect that loadout of just the extra tow missiles is going to be the way to go. But, alright, let's check out the next one. Okay, next up is the HKP-9A FC, which again looks like a derivative of the BO-105 German Scout helicopter. For loadouts, this looks very familiar. We have the option of some gun pods, or gun pod and tow missiles, or just some tow missiles. The quantity is half. We get half of the missiles that we got on the previous helicopter, so despite a higher battle rating, we have half the weapon load. So I'm curious what's going to make this one really any different. Okay, the difference seems to be night vision. Well, let's fly it up and see what we get. Yeah, pretty nice tow missile doing its thing. Okay. Yeah, and so far, this performance feels exactly the same. Again, there's no gun or anything like that. It's sort of a relative medium-weight scout helicopter that Sweden has strapped some tow missiles onto. And the only other real tangible difference seems to be that optic suite on the roof there gives this one night vision, whereas the earlier one did not. So not really too sure how much of an upgrade that's going to feel like, whether or not you want the night vision or whether or not you want twice the weapon load. It'll also be important and interesting to see what the final weapon load looks like when this is off of the dev server, because it's entirely possible that they might equip this with different weapons than it has now. So we'll just guide this guy in. Okay. Alright, so that about wraps up this guy. Let's check out the next one. Okay, last but not certainly least for Swedish helicopters is the AHS, which kind of looks like an Apache. Alright, let's check out the weapon loads here. So it looks like we've got standard AGM-114 Hellfires, 70mm Hydra rockets, Stinger missiles, and RB-74s, which look to be AIM-9Ls, looks like. So, decent weapon load all around. We're going to start off just by going with the basic load of Hellfires, and we'll bring this into a test flight. Alright. Okay, useful information. The laser designator is not auto-tracking the target. I had to do that manually. That may end up changing. Again, this is the first dev server for Sweden here. Gun turret seems to be nice and responsive, doing gun turret stuff. See what we get on this tank. Yeah, the maneuverability on the Hellfires sometimes is a thing. There we go. Yeah, not having the automatic target lock is surprising. Maybe this is an early version of the Apache. I'm not really too sure. Let's fly in and have a little bit of fun with the gun turret. Taking out some trucks. And doing some pretty serious damage to light vehicles. That's what we like to do with the gun turret. That was an interesting little thing that just happened there. But let's see if we can recreate that. Huh. So that weird pitch over you saw a moment ago, that was me applying a little bit of tail rotor with a high angle of attack. Now it seems to be working fine. Interesting. Alright, well, maybe my finger slipped or something, but in any case, that is the Swedish Apache. So, looks to be pretty straightforward. And once all this is on the second dev server, I do plan to check in on all of these vehicles another time just to see if anything is significantly changed or updated. And if there are, assuming there is a second dev server, if there are any massive changes to the Swedish helicopters, I will post a follow-up at the time. And otherwise, we'll see what happens when they go live. As always, thanks for watching.